Hi guys, James at RampantLionReviews again for you today with another beer review. For this one I am back in Scotland, and usually when I'm at my house I would film in my dad's study, but that's not possible at the moment, so I'm filming in front of my old drum kit, of course, which is quite funny. I've got my beer here on the old drum stool, and it's a great little table, this one actually. But for this first review back in Scotland, we're going to go to one of my favourite Scottish breweries down in the Borders. So for this one we are going to return to Tempest Brewing Company, and we're having a taste of the Citra Citra IPA today, which comes in at 6.8%, and this one is a New England style IPA. It's using a London fog yeast, this one, so it will be a New England style IPA, this one. But the last IPA that I had from these guys, the last IPA that I reviewed, I'm sure, was their kind of flagship Brave New World, which is a really good West Coast IPA. That was one of the ones that kind of a lot of people were raving about back in, about 2014, I think it was, when it first came out. But Tempest are really highly regarded in Scottish craft beer, and they're definitely one of the breweries that you need to check out if you get the chance. So check out this brewery. The Old Parochial Scotch Ale is one of my favourites. The Brave New World's really good, and I do want to try their Hellas at some point as well, because I really enjoy that particular style. But looking forward to trying this one. It's cool to be reviewing some Scottish beers for you again, and as always I hope you guys enjoy my take on this one. So anyway, as is usual with my reviews then, I'll tell you a little bit about the brewery before we taste the beer. If you want to get straight to the tasting, just fast forward. All the usual links are in the description below. That's the brewery website, the link to my other reviews that I've done from Tempest Brewing Company before. No doubt I will add some more in the fairly near future. There's all the usual social media. If you want to see more beer reviews, do please consider subscribing to the channel. The whole channel, of course, has a geography-based tagging system, so you can go into the homepage and search for beer based on country, city, state, county, prefecture, whatever it is you're interested in. Do check out the playlists of beers from different countries. There is one there for all the Scottish beers that I've reviewed for you. That's being added to whenever I get the opportunity. And as always, please do get in touch and let me know some of the other beers and breweries that you guys would like to see me review. It's always great to hear from you guys that are watching the videos, and the support that you show the channel is hugely appreciated. So anyway, to tell you a little bit about Tempest Brewing Company then, on to my brewery notes. So this brewery was founded back in 2010 by Gavin and Anika Meiklejohn. So Anika trained as a chef in New Zealand, but the couple decided to return to Scotland back in 2007 to run the Cobbles Bar down in Kelso. So Gavin had previously worked for Whistler Brewing Company over in British Columbia and Canada, so he really had an appreciation for craft beer, and he'd taken some brewing courses in Sydney and Australia, and he actually homebrewed in his garage in Wellington in New Zealand with a small 50-litre kit brewery as well. Wellington, New Zealand, as we know, is an awesome beer city these days, and it's one of the ones that's on my list to visit, so you might see some New Zealand beer reviews again at some point fairly soon. But Gavin is joined at the brewery by Alan Rice, who acts as the business development manager, and he previously worked for Stewart Brewery in Edinburgh, who are another one that you need to check out, and we will review something from those guys fairly soon. But this brewery was previously housed in old dairy buildings in Kelso, and this building was using largely homemade equipment that was engineered to produce big beers on the sort of shoestring budget that they started out with. But their beers proved to be very, very popular, and they moved to their current and bigger home at the Tweedbank Industrial Estate in Galashiels. I think that was in about 2013 or something they moved there. But this year, in June 2019, they've submitted plans to build a new brewery building that has a bar and restaurant in it on the site of the former Eldon Mill, which is very, very close to the new Tweedbank train station, which is part of the Scottish Borders Railway. So very exciting times ahead for Tempest. Like I say, a very, very highly regarded craft brewery here in Scotland, and probably their most famous beer would be Mexicake, which is a chili imperial stout, and I've seen that over in Copenhagen. I think I've actually seen it in Japan as well, now that I think about it. So Mexicake is one that you definitely want to check out. My favourite beer I've had from them is Old Parochial, and if you like a good old school kind of West Coast IPA, then Brave New World is one that you definitely want to check out. They've got a few of these different things in cans. I've seen a couple of sour beers like Berliner Weisses and things like that from these guys when I was out in Glasgow, where I bought this beer, of course. So it's a brewery that you want to keep an eye on. They are fairly experimental, and they're doing some pretty damn good stuff in my opinion too. So yeah, that's all you really need to know about Tempest Brewing Company for the moment. If you want to learn a little bit more, of course, you can check out the brewery website in the description below, and you can follow them on Facebook and Instagram and stuff like that, and that'll keep you up to date with all the latest goings on at the brewery. And I'm very excited to see what their new facility's like. I'll need to see about getting down there at some point and maybe filming a little on-site video for you when that opens up. But yeah, let's go on to the actual beer itself then. So I'll just let you have a little look at the artwork of this one before we open it up. As you can see, really nice artwork, this one. Tempest always seem to do very, very well when it comes to the artwork of their beers. Actually, I really like how they design them. But just to tell you a few things about the stats on this beer, the malts that are in this one are it's oat malt, torrefied wheat and caramel. They've also added some Belgian candy sugar to this one, from what I understand. And the hops in this one are Citra. It is basically just citrus and Citra BBC. I can't remember what BBC actually is. But yeah, nicely presented beer. There is the Tempest Brewing Company symbol there. Just turn it so the light lets you see it. But yeah, without further ado then, let's get this guy out and we'll get on with the tasting. We can get rid of the brewery notes for the moment. 6.8% New England IPA, uses a London fog yeast, so let's get it out and we will get on with the tasting. If I can get my nail under the thing, there we are. Yeah. But it's actually quite nice. When I was out in Glasgow at Valhalla's Goat and the cave and stuff like that, the Tempest beers, they had quite a few of them, and for a long time actually it was very difficult to come across Tempest beers because I think they were having problems with the amount of volume and things that they could produce. So it's quite nice to see them more widely available than they were the last time I was in Scotland. So yeah, always positive because these guys are really good. Hell of a lot of carbonation sticking to the side of the glass on this one, but not such a big deal. But yeah, as you can see, and as you would expect from a New England IPA, this one is poured a lovely kind of bright. This one's more orangey. It's almost like a kind of peach juice colour, this one actually, now that I think about it. It's not the haziest of New England IPAs that I've come across, but it definitely has a little bit of that trademark haze that you would expect from it. There's a solid 2/3 finger of a frothy cream white head on this one. I wouldn't say it's perfect white, but a lovely kind of cream white head on this one. One or two big bubbles sticking towards the side of the glass. There's quite a few big bubbles on the back here, just because I wet the glass before, but it still seems to be kind of sticking to it, but can't really do much about that, not such a big deal. If I put my fingers behind the glass, there you can see the level of haze that you're getting from this guy. But overall, nothing particularly surprising about this beer when you consider that it is a New England IPA. It looks pretty damn good, I have to say. So yeah, let's take a look at the aroma and just see how we get on. Oh, that smells really good. It's actually a little bit nostalgic to go back and smell a beer that is just a single hop Citra, because you know you don't find them so much anymore. You don't find single hop beers these days, and Citra of course was Citra was, along with like Amarillo and Simcoe, these were the big three high alpha acid hops that everyone was playing with back in the day. And you know, we're saying old school, but in the craft beer market, 1 year is a very long time. But that smells lovely. So I mean, straight away with this beer, you're going to notice that nice white bready wheaty quality in there. A lot of kind of smooth oats coming out of it as well. To me, when it comes to the New England sort of scale, this one is actually well balanced between the oats and the wheat. Some of them can be very strong on the wheat and be a little bit more astringent. Some of them can smell very, very creamy. I think they've got the balance of this one right. You've got a nice white bready wheaty base to it, and you've got a little bit of that smooth. You've definitely got a little bit of that smooth kind of oaty quality coming out there. You can pick up a little bit of a biscuity sweetness in there as well, which is nice. So yeah, it's very well balanced, this one. The wheat, the more you smell of it, I think the wheat starts to come out that little bit more. But the oats really smooth out the malty side of the aroma here very, very nicely. On the hoppy side of things, green side of the hops, I would say leans towards the floral side of things. You can really get a little bit of that big floral aromaticity out of this beer. There is a little bit of grassiness in there, but to me the green side of the hops is really leaning towards the floral end of the spectrum. But the fruity side of the fruity side of things, that's where this beer really kind of starts to shine, of course. So for me, big juicy mangoes out of this one. There's a little bit of a stronger kind of passion fruity note in there, but to me it's the juicy mangoes that are jumping out of this one, and it's almost like the passion fruit element you get out of this kind of mixes in with the wheaty side of the beer a little bit. There is a little touch of pungency both from the wheat and from the passion fruit side of things that you're getting out of the beer. On the juicier end of the fruity spectrum, you know, there is a little bit of not lemon light, there is maybe a little touch of lime in there, but it's got a little bit of a kind of gooseberry lychee sort of thing, which is cool. But yeah, lots of mangoes, the mangoes are kind of mixing in with the oaty qualities, which is cool. And like I say, you've got a little bit of these lychee, gooseberry kind of complexities that you can often get from Citra. It's a really complex hop, that, and depending on what you mix it with, it can be really, really interesting. So yeah, I mean, to me, this comes across as a very nice, kind of straightforward New England IPA. The one that I would think to compare this to as a single hop Citra IPA would be the Raw Power from Abeltoft Gård Brewery over in Kattegat in Denmark. That was a beautiful beer, so I really hope that Tempest have got one that can match that, but I'm sure this one will be pretty good actually. So without further ado then, let's have a taste of this beer and see how we get on. As I always say, take a bit of time and just enjoy the aroma before you get stuck in. But this one is the Citra Citra IPA, a New England IPA. It's 6.8% from Tempest Brewing Company in Galashiels in the Scottish borders. It's cool to be reviewing some Scottish beers for you again. Let's get stuck in. Slàinte, skål. Yeah, that's really good. Yeah, this one is really bloody good, as you would kind of expect, to be honest. If you know this brewery, you know the standards that they keep. It's not surprising how good the quality of this beer is. For me, if I think about comparing this to the Swedish beers that I would drink, you know, more regularly, it does kind of come across. It's a little bit like Narangi from OO Brewing. It really is kind of like that. It's a lovely, just straight up New England IPA, this one. I don't know if they've done this before, or if it's been around for quite a little while. It was listed as a limited edition, but things like Old Parochial are, and those seem to appear every year. But yeah, that is really good. So let's try and round up the flavours for you a little bit, and then this is a very, very solid New England IPA. It doesn't do anything surprising. It's one of these ones that's very, very well crafted, but this was one, I'm guessing this would be one of the kind of really big and sort of first New England IPAs here in Scotland, if you like. So yeah, straight away with this beer, you can feel a little bit of that white bready quality, that white wheaty bread quality, just blanket the middle of your tongue. There's a good little bit of the Maris Otter that's in here. Was it Maris Otter or was it caramel? It was saying on the side here, it's got a little bit of caramel in it, which I was thinking that because there is a bit of a biscuity element to this beer. So for me, straight away you've got this nice white bready wheaty quality that blankets the middle of your tongue, but it does feel as if it's almost a little bit like pale malt, to be honest with you as well, which is interesting. So the malt base for me in this beer overall is a little bit lighter compared to some of the ones that you are going to find in when it comes to New England IPAs. It doesn't feel quite as thick, but that's nice because it gives you a good little bit of sessionability to it. And that's one of the things with these New England IPAs. At 6.8%, you know, it is the kind of standard that you would expect from a good number of West Coast IPAs as well in terms of its alcohol, but it is really nice and light and drinkable. It's a good summer beer, this one, so I think maybe they do it seasonally, not quite sure. There wasn't really much information about this one on their website, incidentally. But yeah, straight away, nice kind of white bready wheat and pale malty quality blanket in the middle of your tongue. In the centre of your palate, if you move a little bit further into the centre, you start to get the oaty notes out of this the further into the aftertaste that you go. You can taste a little bit of that sort of creaminess in there, which is good. In the very centre of your palate though, that's where you start to get these kind of biscuity notes. To me, it doesn't come across as being fully rich and caramelly. It is more like a biscuity quality that's in the middle of your tongue. There's maybe a little bit of a straight up caramel in the very, very centre of your palate, and as you move further out from that, it's a little bit more biscuity the further out from the centre of your tongue that you go. So the malt base is pretty much what you would expect, but just nice and light and quite and it just gives it that almost summery feel, if you like, which is good. On the hoppy side of things, in the back corners of the palate, there's a teensy little bit of earthiness there. You'll get that from pretty much any hop. But as you come further forward along the side of the tongue, you can feel those nice floral aromatic components coming out. of that citra hop there, but round the very front curve of the palate it moves and just becomes a little bit lighter and more grassy. Behind the front curve of the tongue, of course, that's where you get that nice oily bubble where the juicy fruity esters start to roll out of the beer. But yeah, that is really pretty good actually, I have to say. So, on the fruity side of things, the sort of passion fruity notes, I was picking out that there was a little bit of pungency that you'll get from these fruits. Usually I've always found that grapefruit and passion fruit are quite pungent in their flavours and aromas, and if you just go to the very back of that oily bubble with the fruity side of things, you do get a little bit of that. You do get a little bit of the stronger tropical fruits there, but as you come further forward from it, it very, very quickly kind of morphs into a more mango flavour, and then coming further forward from that, you've almost got like a little touch of a, I want to say it's a little bit sort of, it's a balance between almost pineapple and apricot flavours, and then right on the very kind of front of your tongue, that's when you start to get these complexities that Citra is very well known for. It's a little bit lychee and gooseberry like this one. So I mean, overall, this is a beer that really has everything that you would want. Compared to other New England IPAs that I've come across, this one, it's not the sort of thickest and haziest that you're going to come across. It's actually a little bit lighter and kind of sessionable, which is nice. It's a little bit of a change of pace, this one, compared to some of the other ones that I've had in recent times, and I suspect that this one they might have done it a couple of years before, because it's almost, with the New England IPAs, this one's almost like going back for me to the likes of Narangi and the GBG Beer Week from OO and Stigbergets respectively. This one's almost like stepping back a year or two, so it's quite nice to do that with the New England IPA. It's almost like an old school New England IPA, if you're allowed to say that, because this is such a new style. But it's really good, so big thumbs up to Tempest Brew Company for this one. They've done a great job with this, but I'm not surprised because I know how good the beers are that these guys make. So in terms of the mouthfeel then, I would describe this beer as... yeah, this one's fairly... it's at the bottom end of mid-bodied. The carbonation is quite smooth in this one. It does give it a little bit of... it does give it a little bit of crispness. Overall, it's I would say it's quite a wet mouthfeel, this one. It's got a little bit of an oily quality to it, but mainly a wet mouthfeel. In terms of hoppy bitterness, we're talking, I think we're only talking about 25 IBUs, maybe 30 at a push with this beer. Malt base, very, very smooth, little touch of sweetness in there. And with the fruitiness, it's got a lot of kind of juicy qualities there. There's some of that darker tropical fruit, as I was saying, but the further you go into the aftertaste, it really starts to lean towards the juicier side of things. As the beer dries out, in the middle of your palate, you'll get a bit more of the wheaty notes coming out, and you've also got some of the limey and more pungent tropical fruits lingering there into the aftertaste as well. But overall, a really, really nice IPA, New England IPA. This one a little bit old school, if we're allowed to say that, as I mentioned earlier. It reminds me a bit of Narangi and the old GBG Beer Week from OO Brewing and Stigbergets in Sweden. But, you know, really nice, this one, and cool to be able to try this one for you. The Citra Citra IPA from Tempest Brewing Company in Galashiels down in the Borders. Let's leave it at that for this one. A lovely beer, and it's cool to start off some more Scottish reviews for this one with you. So you'll see these staggered into the channel over the next kind of couple of weeks. I'm filming a good little bit when I'm back home, so yeah, make sure you check out this brewery if you're interested in Scottish beers. I'd personally recommend Mexicake and Mexicake Brave New World, and Old Parochial is a very, very, very good Scotch ale as well. Probably my favourite beer actually I've had from this brewery so far. So let's leave it at that for this one. Once again, thank you for watching my beer reviews. Until the next time, please like, subscribe, share, all the usual YouTube stuff. Let me know your own thoughts on this beer in the comment section below. Let me know what your favourite beers are from Tempest Brew Company as well. I do have another beer to review from these guys that you'll see at some point over the next couple of weeks. But thank you again for watching, and I will catch you guys very soon. The Citra Citra IPA at 6.8%, a New England IPA from Tempest Brew Company in Galashiels in the border regions here in Scotland. Slàinte, skål, cheers, thanks for watching.